G'day friends, welcome back to another episode of Beneath the Beats. Today we are discussing Lars Ulrich of Metallica, and I have chosen two of his most iconic drum setups. The one being from Master of Puppets tour in 1986, the famous chrome mirror kit that you might have seen in countless photos from back then. The other one being his 1996 kit from the Poor Touring Me tour in support of the Low album. We're going to discuss a bit of the drum tech side of things and how the drum tech evolution changed to impact on Lars's sound. Let's get stuck into it. Alright friends, diving into the 1986 Master of Puppets tour kit, you'll see this image of Lars, a strapping young lad there, behind his mirror chrome Tama Superstar kit from the 80s, and as you'll see, these beautiful big twin bass drums with that nice Metallica logo there on the front. But the big feature here is the size of the toms. Now look at the size of these beasts. And in the 80s, bigger was better, as Lars put it in an interview. And aesthetically, these look great. I mean, you don't see this sizing in this day and age. But you'll notice the resonant head is missing on all these toms. Now, there is a reason behind that. One, you get more attack, right? And where the attack comes in back then is, back in the 80s, PA systems and tech wasn't as good as it is now. Now, with these drums that were tuned a bit lower, Lars typically had them tuned pretty low. You want to establish the pitch between each tom. So having a resonant head on here would create some blur in frequencies, which wouldn't be favorable to having definition between each tom. You hit the drum, no resonant head, the air escapes instantly, and that brings more attack. No blurred frequencies, but obviously now technology's come a long way and they've been able to make smaller drums have bigger drum behaviors. But we'll talk about that down the line. So now we have some footage here from 1986. The quality ain't that good, but you'll see the kit in action here. Those big twin kick drums look great on stage, hey? Oh, James sounds so good back then too. Look at the size of these toms. Beastly. Now, I wanted to step over to one of my favorite programs in Drumstructor, and I wanted to do a shout out to one of the users here, Mr. Nick, N-I-K, who has created this drum setup. Now, he's done a fantastic job, and look, I am a Drumstructor user, so I know how much time goes into making these kits and building them. So shout out to Nick on this one. He's done it pretty well to spec from what I can see of the images. Now, things were prone to change from time to time with setup, so it is really hard to get 100% pinpoint accuracy. But as you'll see here, this is typically what it would have looked like behind the drum setup of Lars in that era. Plenty of cymbals, plenty of drums. I actually looked for a bit of information on confirmation of sizing of these toms. Now, the internet was spewing out all sorts of answers, so it was hard to get an accurate answer. But Nick here has got, like 12 by 11, 13 by 12, 14 by 13, and 15 by 14. Two floor toms being 18 by 16, 18 by 16, and two 24 by 16 kick drums, which is, I would say, almost on the money there. Like, that makes sense. I'm not sure if there was two of the same size drums, but potentially that was the case, just different tuning. If you were Lars's drum tech back then, you would have to do a bit of tweaking here, because that would seem like it'd be a bit of a nightmare, getting that drum on that angle there. But as you'll see, they've managed to do it and, have a mount high enough to be able to put this drum on that angle. Now, in terms of the snare drum Lars used back in the 80s, there is a lot of information out there suggesting a Tama Bell Brass 14 by 6.5. Super loud snare drum, which makes sense for Metallica too. Now, Lars used all Zildjian cymbals back then, and he did prefer the Zildjian sound, obviously. I saw somewhere that he was fond of the A series, which makes sense. Some brighter tones, which went well with Metallica and cutting through the stage noise. Now, you'll see features of the China cymbal here, and a couple of China cymbals actually. Remo drum heads, so controlled sound, black dots were common features, and you'll see this in photographs and footage of Lars's. Now let's get stuck into the 1996 setup and see what changed with drum sizing, tech, and ultimately affecting the sound of Lars's setup and drums. Alright friends, now we step over to the 1996 kit from the Poor Touring Me tour, and you'll see Lars on stage here with his new setup, and you'll notice a couple of changes. There's less toms, and the toms here are smaller. Still got the twin kicks, but the toms have shrunk. How did drum manufacturers emulate the huge drum or the big drum sound if shells got smaller? Now, there is a bit of a science behind this. So that came down to a few different things. One being the ply count. So the thickness of the drum shell, that makes a big difference in the tone and the overall sound. Now, the make of the wood also makes a big difference. Some woods emphasize a really strong low end, which would have been favorable to a smaller drum for Lars, and reinforcing the bearing edges was another. Also, I would mention the thinner shells, which resonate and vibrate more, which can help emulate the big drum sound. Now, obviously in the 90s, the PA systems got better, the mics got better, and mics got better at handling low end too, which also made a difference. So here we have some footage from that 1996 tour, and this gives you a bit of a sort of a bird's eye view or a point of view behind the drum set. Smashing those cymbals. As you'll see, still got the two floor toms. But yeah, those toms have definitely gotten smaller. Less cymbals it seems too. So now let's step over and shine some light on another Drumstructor user. Shout out to Stepstar, who did a fantastic job of this kit. Now let's go around the kit here. And as you can see, featuring the two floor toms, two rack toms here. Now, I don't know about the sizing. I read a few different forums and whatnot speculating on the sizing of this kit. I couldn't get an accurate answer, but maybe you guys can help me out here. Stepstar here has got a 10x9 and a 12x10 here. But in photographs, it seems that this first tom is a little bit deeper than a 9. But I could be wrong. It just, I don't know. I'm just going off photographs. So if anyone's got the specs out there, or the official specs, feel free to share it in the comments. But here, let's just run with what Stepstar's got here. 10x9 and a 12x10. Two floor toms and the twin kicks, which has also been a feature. Now, in terms of the snare there, I heard that Lars along the line there had a signature snare drum. I'm not sure if he was using it here or if he was still using a bell brass, but yeah, Lars Ulrich fans, come to the table. Now, the cymbal setup, obviously still featuring China cymbals, Zildjian, and that China, that infamous China that sits there on the right of him. And yeah, pretty sick setup. And, you know, obviously a different setup from the 80s, but I like how he's tweaked his setup, and obviously technology's changed. Now, I will admit I'm a bit of a Metallica noob and a Lars Ulrich noob, so I just wanted to sort of look in and make this video for the Metallica fans and, you know, start a conversation with you guys about it. So I'm now going to ask the question, which kit do you prefer? Do you like the 1986 Lars or the 1996 Beyond Lars? I'm going to say, look, I'm a fan of his modern day setups. I love the 80s setups aesthetically. But in terms of sound, you know, with the modern technology, you can get a lot of bang for buck out of the smaller sizing of the toms. Can you imagine lugging those kits around back in the day? Shout out to all the 80s drum techs back then. You guys worked. If you got anything out of the video, like and subscribe to the channel, guys. It really helps the channel grow. And I'll be here making more videos for you guys, and we can nerd out about drums together in the future. But until next time, have a great day, guys, and rock on.